Welcome back. This is At the Races. Racing manager to Black Caviar. There she is Jeff O'Connor. Oh, wasn't it just us? Was it everyone? Oh, no, I thought it was just us. Looks like everyone in the world was there. Oh, no. Anyway, that is her, definitely is. If you spot a half asleep horse, that will be Black Caviar. She is just so laid back, isn't she? Look, there's Alistair Haggis from Ascot just lurking under a tree. Quite a few lurkers by the looks of it. Including Martin Kelly, who's been stalking Jeff O'Connor.
Well, Jeff, Black Caviar, a star in Australia, the straight 21. How's she travelled over to the UK?
Everything's gone really well so far. We've been here a week. It's all been, it's probably been boring, if anything, for her. It's all been very simple. We haven't had any issues. She's in good shape. We've got another week now to gear her up and have her ready to go for Saturday week.
In terms of what she's done since she's been here, what sort of programme has she been on? What will she do between now and the race itself?
Well, she's done very little up to now. We had her rock hard fit to get on the plane and come here. She was been racing. She'd had 3 gallops in the fortnight before she left. She was very fit, so she was able to have a week, very quiet week here to recover from the flight. The next step is up to Peter and Tony to assess what she needs in regards to a gallop, if at all. So,
and we've seen plenty of pictures of her out on the heath and the gallops here at Newmarket wearing quite a special suit. What's been the benefit of that? What's the thinking behind putting the suit on her to travel?
Yeah, that was a travel aid. We saw a Haylist. Most racing fans will know of Haylist back home. He was wearing one earlier in the year for his travel. It keeps the blood flow, circulation, and we also spoke with our Olympic runner at home, Sally Pearson. She mentioned that they all wear the skins, and we thought, well, why shouldn't our horse for a travel? So we put the skins on, and we haven't had anything to say it hasn't worked. It's kept her blood flow. She's arrived here in good shape, so we're thinking of it. It's a positive at the moment for sure.
That must be quite a relief, given she's never travelled like this before, to have a horse like her travel and take it in a stride.
Yeah, we thought she'd take it in a stride, but you're never sure. It would have been nice to give her an hour or two flight at some stage over the past 12 months, but that hasn't happened. So it was a little bit nervous how she'd cop it all, but the reports we got from the stopovers were excellent. And she is a horse that takes to most things, very easily with the first time she does things.
And in terms of the weather conditions here in Newmarket, have they been a hindrance at all, or is it similar conditions to you've got back in Australia at the moment?
Yeah, we're getting into winter deeply now, and I thought she was a bit fluffy in the coat when she left, getting ready for her normal winter at home. So I got here and I thought, yeah, she looked a little bit better. So credit to the boys, Tony and Pat here, that they've been able to have a victory there with her coat, turning it around. And then we've had good sunshine here the last 2 days. It hasn't been the Armageddon we were told about. So the weather here's been good, and I'm sure she's loving the sunshine that we've seen in the past 24 hours.
And UK racing fans very much looking forward to seeing her. But when did you first off think about coming to Royal Ascot and then decide, yep, that's where we're heading? Yeah,
we announced it at this meeting actually last year. That was the first public announcement to the UK that we would plan to be here next year. The owners that was on the top of their wish list. She's achieved everything at home she possibly can, and we're getting towards the twilight of her career. So it's perfect timing for her to come here and still go home and get a hero's welcome at home and race on for a few more runs at home in the next 12 months, if so be.
And in terms of ground conditions, if the wet weather was set to continue, we get a slowish track on the Saturday. How much of a hindrance is that going to be? There has been talk of her handling soft conditions in a barrier trial back in Australia.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's always stood out for us. Whenever we've taken to the races, it can rain very heavily in Melbourne at the drop of a hat. So we've always been comfortable. If it did rain, we wouldn't be pulling her out. The only time we thought about it was in a handicap where she had a big weight, giving every other horse plenty of weight. So the ground we're not going to use as an excuse at the moment. I can't imagine Ascot being a mud heap. So and as presumed and was confirmed this morning, we felt that the straight would drain a lot better with the new laying of the track, and Chris confirmed that this morning. So we think we're okay at the moment, yeah.
And what do you make of the opposition in the Diamond Jubilee this year?
That's a good question. I saw Society Rock win last year, and I'm glad to hear his trainer come out and say, well, We'll have a go at her. He wasn't bullish or anything about beating her, but it's good to hear someone wants to put up their good horse and have a crack at her. So if good luck to him. I hope he runs second. Yeah.
And do you feel it's a stronger level of opposition she faces here as opposed to back in Australia?
Again, another interesting question. It's very hard to get opposition for her at home because we do come out early and say what races we're going to target, and that way the other good horses, because we've got so many carnivals at the same time, they can pick and choose where they want to go, and most of the time they've gone away from her. It does seem a little bit like that. I heard 3 trainers talk earlier today that they'd prefer to dodge her, and it's made for a great King stand, if anything. I think it's if that was in Melbourne, it would be the race of the week. It looks a top race. So opposition can be hard to get.
And we've seen her in the races in Australia. She barely seems to be out of second gear. Is there a temptation this time, given you've travelled around the world, to really put the gun to her head and ask her to go and extend?
Probably not. I would let Pete confirm that, but I think that there'll be one instruction to Luke, and that'll be win. Simple as that. He loves his horse as much as we do, and he'll be happy just to see her cruise over the line.
And we've seen a lot of interest in Black Caviar here in the UK, but can you just try and give us an insight into the following she's got back in Australia?
Yeah, I guess anyone who loves racing is on board, and it's great because no one can make money out of her punting. Like she goes around a short quote every time, so it's great that she doesn't have a punting fan base. We're seeing people show interest in horse racing, and as I said earlier, if that can put racing on the front pages, especially here in London in an Olympic year, that's great for racing, and if it can result in more people participating in ownership and that kind of thing, if people are saying it's that easy to end up with a Black Caviar, or what's stopping anyone getting involved in a racehorse?
And how precious has she become to you, and how much has the pressure increased per race as the story's developed?
Yeah, we've tried to put that aside. We run a big operation, and we've tried to make that our focus in that we assess all horses equally. We've really tried to keep the pressure of training a champion to the side. It would be lovely here to come, such as Joe Janiak did with Takeover Target, and be a one-horse team and enjoy it more, but that's not the case for us. We've got a lot of other owners to be responsible to, and we think we're doing a fair job in that. But so the pressure, we haven't really had a chance to let it get to us because of the workload.
And in terms of, we've seen Australian horses come across before, the likes of Takeover Target, you mentioned Swazia. Where would she rate in comparison to other horses who have come across from Australia? And just in terms of Australian racing overall, where does she sit?
Well, on their record, they got Swazia, Miss Andretti and Takeover Target. And I think at some stage all the connections of those horses have come out and said she's a better horse. So that gives us great encouragement. I don't think we'll be worrying about it's going to take a champion to beat her. So we're pretty encouraging that those people have come out and said that. We haven't had to come out and say that we think she's better than all those, because they've been here and done it. We can't afford that yet. So.
And in terms of Australian racing overall, I mean, you go back to Farlap, maybe the best known Australian horse. Where would she rate in the history of Australian racing? Yeah,
she's going to leave a legacy or a legend, if you like. It would make it a lot easier if she can go through undefeated, that's for sure. And hopefully that'll continue on next week. But I think for a new generation of social media, she's going to be the one that got them involved in racing. They follow Twitter or Facebook or that kind of thing. She'll be the one that got them involved in racing, and they'll look back on her and think, yeah, we followed her on the social media.
And is there anything extra special for you all coming across here in the Diamond Jubilee year?
Yeah, it's a great occasion. This is, I don't know, is it the Olympics of horse racing? Probably. It's a great week. It's great to be part of. I couldn't think of a better place to be next week, Black Caviar or no Black Caviar. We've got great racing for 5 days. We get to see the English champion Frankel, which we're looking forward to seeing him in action. We saw him last year. We're hoping to see a great performance from him, and we've got other Australian connections here. We've also got Australian connections here looking for Cups horses, Melbourne Cups horses. So I think it's the Hardwick later in the week that there might be a few horses going around in there that might command a bit of a price tag on them for Australian boys looking to get one.
Well, Jeff, we can't wait to see her